What's going on, guys? Moe TV back at it again with a brand new video, and today I'm going to be going over another how I make money series video. And what I decided to talk about today is my very first house flip. And I'm going to try to make these videos a little bit shorter because I feel like 15 to 20 minutes is maybe too long, and I don't think a lot of people are going to pay attention for that long. With that being said, hopefully this is shorter. I don't even know. I want to start by saying I took down my last video when I talked about the digital assets fund, because I didn't want to come off as like a salesman. I'm not trying to like tell people, hey, you should invest in this and this is that. I'm just trying to give information on what I'm invested in. But it did come off like I'm trying to like sell you guys on something. So I just took down that video. I don't want to do that kind of thing at all. I don't need anyone to invest in these. I have no financial benefit for that at all. Like nothing. I get nothing out of it, and that's why I don't want people to think I do and think that this isn't just genuine information that I'm trying to deliver to you guys. Anyway, moving on. I've decided to get back into the real estate thing. What I have done actually the past 3 to 4 months, I've gone through my first house flip. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how that works. Let's go ahead and have my editor put up pictures of the house with the before and then the after pictures as I talk about it. This specific house I bought from a wholesaler, okay? And a lot of you aren't going to know what a wholesaler is, but I'll recommend some people to watch on YouTube that deal exclusively with wholesale. It's actually It's a very interesting way to get into real estate without having much money at all. But I bought it from a wholesaler at I think the purchase price. Well, here, you know what? What's even easier is I'm gonna put it in because I was trying to remember if the purchase price was 112 or 110. But just for math's sake, I'm putting 110 up here to show you guys. So I have a little spreadsheet that I've set up. And I'm going to go over everything that I did with this specific purchase, right? Okay, so I bought the house for $110,000 from a wholesaler. He bought it obviously for less than that, and he assigned it to me. What that means is if a wholesaler gets a house, they don't even have to really buy it. They actually just get it under contract, and then they have like 10 to 30 days to assign it to someone else, to sell it to like a cash buyer. So that's where someone like me would come in, and an investor would be like, hey, I want to buy that house, and boom. I'd prefer not to pay a wholesaler, but like that's, there's no other real way for me to do it unless I become a wholesaler myself, which is something that is interesting that you're going to see later on in this. I was at the same time of doing this, I started a wholesale marketing type thing to try to get wholesale deals like that. And I'll explain out how that works in a little bit. But let's just focus on this house, right? I bought it for 110. I put 10,000 down, and I got the financing done by a private lender. A private lender gave me $100,000 on this property. He charged me 9% interest, which is like, it's high, but it's at the same time, this is kind of like the going rate for like private money. Especially if it's like your first deal, they're not gonna just give you a lower rate and just trust that you're gonna do a good job. So it was at 9%. It was a interest only payment, so it was $750 a month. So essentially, for $10,000, I now own this $110,000 home, and my payments are $750 a month. Obviously, I want to get this thing rehabbed and ready to be sold as fast as possible, right? So my renovations and rehab, this is where I kind of went overboard, I feel. From the pictures, you guys can see that I went for a really nice luxury type remodel. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that if you don't have enough room in the house to do that, it's not good. And for this specific house, $73,000 was just way too much to get it going. And the main problems that there were, it wouldn't have been this expensive, except there were a couple of issues. One, all the electrical in the house had to be redone because there were rats. in the property. So they ate out all the little wiring. We had to completely redo the electrical and did a new panel and wired the whole house. We actually put an AC. It didn't have AC in this house before. They used the swamp cooler. So I had to pay for a complete AC plus all the AC ducts that go around the house inside. So there were just extra stuff that if I was more experienced in this business, I would have kind of caught on before, and I might have maybe negotiated a little better on the purchase price from the wholesaler and maybe got it for even cheaper than 110. And at the same time, maybe I paid top dollar for the remodel. But you know what? I had a good contractor that did a good job in terms of like everything being done. There were little miscommunications here and there, but it was not a bad experience. Like I had for my personal house, the house that I live in right now, it took me a year to remodel it, and I went through like 4 different contractors, and it was just terrible all the time. Like I just went like, my experience with contractors for my personal home was way worse than what I had with this. So $73,000 on realistically, I should have spent no more than $50 on this specific house. I went for nicer finish. I want it to look really nice. The area did not warrant how nice the finishes were, and that's my fault. That's another thing that comes with experience. It was a kind of a older neighborhood, not houses there, not a lot of nice houses in that neighborhood, and this specific house inside is probably the nicest house within like 2 miles of any house around it. Like it's just the nicest house on the inside for sure because of the job that I had done to it. Overall, $73,000 overpaid. Could have been 50, and looked similar but not as good. And then marketing. So this is where I mentioned the wholesaling thing, right? So I partnered up with a friend on this deal. I actually put all the money in for everything. The 73,000 rehab, that was all mine. The 10,000 down, that was mine. The marketing budget, that was mine. The marketing, what happened is this friend of mine was an experienced wholesaler in the business, and he's not the one I bought the deal from, but he's someone who knows all the wholesalers around, knows how the business works. So he told me that we should do wholesale marketing and send out, like when you see those We Buy Homes cash on the signs, on every traffic light you've ever been on, all that kind of stuff. That's what wholesaling is. So he not convinced me. Like we kind of decided, all right, you know what? Let's put a marketing budget together. We hired a guy to do our SEO, something called PPC, and to send out little, what are they called? The little marketing cards to like note cards to, or like kind of like postcards that we send out to all these addresses that all these leads that we get. And hopefully people call us and say, hey, I'm interested in selling my house. So I put about $10,000 into the marketing budget over a 3 to 4 month period. That also something I shouldn't have done, because I feel like I was busy at the time with other stuff, with streaming and other stuff. My partner was busy because he is not a full-time wholesaler. He has another full-time job. So me and him together, we couldn't focus 100% on this job. And I messed up there by kind of jumping in and just saying, you know what, I'll put up the marketing. Let's see, let's try to get some leads. We should have, if one of us had 100% focus on it, this would have been worth it. But it wasn't worth it because none of us put 100%. We got like 4 to 5 leads that actually turned into phone calls, that turned into us going seeing the house or two. We made a couple offers here and there. Nothing got done, and I feel like this 10,000 was kind of wasted. But it gave me some experience in terms of just in general how to do this kind of business. So I'm a lot more experienced. I'm thankful for that. The 10,000 was so the original deal with my partner was I was going to keep 70% of the profits. He'll take 30% for kind of like walking me through and helping me out. I changed that to 50-50 because I told him, you know what? I don't think I want to keep going with the wholesale part and the marketing, because I don't think me and him have enough time. So I said, on this house, I want to at least get all my money back that I put into marketing, and whatever's left over, I'll split 50-50 with you. I don't need the 70-30 split, because it's not going to be much money left over between us, realistically speaking, right? Long story short is, we're in the house probably, I'm in the house probably 83,000, which is right here. And so it's total, we're in the house, I would say 183,000. So I don't know where this 166 came from. I was about 183,000 all in, right? So we sold it for 200,000, right? All right, so $13,000 profit. Out of that $13,000 profit, we had to pay, I think it came out to 4% in total broker fees, because we did have to hire a real estate agent who was actually really, really good, and I would recommend him to anyone else. So out of that 13,000, or not, out of that $200,000 sale price, right? We had to pay 4% off to both brokers, our side and their side. So that was $8,000. That came out to $8,000. Okay. So this is starting to sound more right. So $8,000, and then we had, what's left over there? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there was 5,000 left over. So it was actually, I think it was $8,000 for brokers plus closing costs. Closing costs weren't that much. I think we negotiated for the buyers to also do the closing cost, so that we ended up actually with about $5,000 of profit, which I gave half to my friend that was my partner in it. So I ended up with 25,000 net profit, or 2,500 net profit. Now this number really should have been, that 10,000 should have been all profit, so it would have been 15, and then I should have spent 23,000 less. So the number really should have been 23 plus 15. The real number should have been $38,000 net profit, and that's realistically kind of the average or minimum that you want to make on a house flip that takes 3 or 3.5 months. So it's, I forgot to mention too, by the way, this is really interesting. We actually had the house sold at $205,000. Okay, the house was sold at $205,000. The buyers agreed on $205,000, and this was a big kind of hit to us towards the end, because that would have been $5,000 more that we would have profited. But what happened was they were getting something called the FHA loan, so first time home buyers loan, and the house appraised at 200,000, not 205. So because it appraised at 200,000, the buyers, because it's their FHA loan, they don't have enough money to put that extra 5,000 down. So our only options were either say no to the sale, or actually drop the price to 200,000 and sell it. We had to do it, because if we said no, and we already know the house appraises at 200, and no matter who we get in the future, we had to be lucky that someone was willing to pay $5,000 more than the appraised price, which is really rare to find. We probably would have never been able to sell it at 205 ever. So we decided, you know what, 200, it's okay. I get all my money back. But the moral of the story isn't, I'm not trying to say like this was a crazy moneymaker or something. This was very good experience for me, and it taught me a lot on what to do and what not to do with house flipping. It's not as simple as just you buy a house and you put a little bit of money into it. It gets really nice, and there's so many moving parts to this, and realistically you have to be on top of this. You have to be on top of this kind of thing. This took 3.5 months, but the house was done pretty much in 2.5, and then it took us a while. Actually, not true, because this house sold within 14 days of being on the market, so it sold really fast. The main issue was towards the end there were little things that needed to get fixed that never got fixed, and that's what delayed everything. So we had the appraisal took longer because the guy that came to do the appraisal had to come back like 3 different times, because there was different things that they kept finding that needed to get fixed that should have been fixed from our contractor. So that's where our contract, like, even though we had good communication, or or not good communication. We had a good experience with the contract. Like they did a solid job overall. Like when you see the finishes and everything, you're like, wow, it's well done. The biggest issue was a lot of stuff that the contractor, little things that slipped by that shouldn't have. And it's the contractor's job to not let those little things slip by, but it's also our job to be on top of the contractors and let them know, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. I was new to this, so I didn't know exactly what needed to be done, in terms of the law and the compliances and all that stuff. I didn't know all of it, so I was learning as I went. But it was, like I said, it was a great experience to actually get to see that from A to Z, how to buy a home, how to put money into the home, everything, and you know, you know what? I think I went overboard on the spending. As you guys can see, like I did the landscaping. If you guys saw from the picture in the front, if you want to pop that picture back out, I spent a good amount of money on the landscaping of the house, which a lot of flippers don't do. They just kind of like leave it and hope that the buyers that buy it, they do whatever they want. I wanted to have that appeal, and I think it was the right play because there was a house next door there was another flipper that was flipping a house next door, and that house was on the market for 3 months while we were fixing it up, and we sold before that house sold. They even took it off the market because they couldn't sell it because that house had terrible landscaping. The inside was done okay, but they had so many problems. So I think even though I spent too much, I think on certain parts it was justified because the house sold because of the way it compared to that other house that was for sale, and they were around the same price too. You know what I mean? So. And our house actually got the higher price. Our house got 205 accepted by us, but it just didn't appraise there. So long story short, when you jump into something like this, just make sure you don't jump in as head first as I did, and you look around and you see, you just take baby steps. And the way I learned about how to do these things, a lot of it was online on YouTube, dude. And I have this app called Meetup, and I actually went to real estate meetups in my city and met with like random people who just did this for a living, and that's how I got to meet this partner for one. That's how I got to meet lenders that will lend money to people, because this isn't a bank loan. Like this is to get a flip happening. You can't just go to a bank. A bank isn't going to give you money to go fix the house and do it. You have to go to private funding. You have to go to private lenders, hard money lenders, whatever it is. And you got to get your name out there. You got to show them that they can trust you with hundreds of thousands of dollars because you are going to be able to pay them back. And you're going to make sure your interest payments are on time. And the whole time with this lender, I was making my payments. I was in complete communication with them. I let them know, hey, we're about to go into escrow. The house is sold. Hey, the escrow is taking a little bit longer because we got to get it reappraised, or the appraisal hasn't been done yet. And all the whole time, make sure you're paying him his payments on time, because that's what it comes down to, you know? And now I know, and this lender, knowing that I did a good job, the lender asked me before I even sold this house. He's like, "Hey, do you need any more? Are you looking at anything else? Like I have a lot of cash right now. I need to get it out there. Do you have anything that you want to buy?" And I said, "You know what? I'm going to take it easy for a bit, because I think on the next one I'm going to do it just by myself with my wife, and I really want to find something. I think at a higher price point. I think I want to get something that's a higher price point that I could sell for a larger chunk of profit." But I just want to take it easy and find a deal. I don't want to rush into it, and that's pretty much it. But I know I mentioned wholesaling very briefly. If you guys want to learn more about wholesaling, which is, like I said, an easy way to get into real estate without having a lot of money at all, you could watch what's his name, Max Maxwell. He's a wholesale YouTuber. Just start watching his some of his older videos. I don't know if he still does like active videos, but if you just type in like wholesaling houses, he should be one of the first people popping up. And just go through his video library and find the videos that interest you and just watch a lot of it, because he does this thing full time. He'll buy a house and he'll wholesale it to someone else for like $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 profit. I happen to know for a fact that the person that wholesaled me this house made $8,000. So he technically made more money than I did on the whole deal. And I put like I put 4 months into it. $100 and something $1,000 or $83,000. Like I did all that, and obviously I made some, the marketing, I got paid back and I got all my money back, but I only made $5,000 at the end, and I split it with my friend who didn't really, want the money, but it's he, he's entitled to it, and I wasn't gonna keep 5,000 when I told him I'll give him half, but yeah, he made more. The wholesaler on this deal made more money than the end seller on this deal, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Please, if you have any questions, comments below. I will do more of these videos. I know I should have been more consistent, but these videos take I gotta really have a game plan. And as you can see, I had the math all around here, so it really has. I have to sit down and really write down how I want to structure these videos for different deals. I'm working on some major big iron deals right now that hopefully come through. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to talk about any deals that are possibly going to happen. Anything that I talk about is something that is 100% done, because I don't feel like it's good to kind of just talk about stuff unless I'm experiencing it 100% and I know what to do. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and love ya. Peace.